Awesome. Well, we're here today with Paul, and I am very lucky because I get the privilege of working with you, Paul. And I've been able to hear a little bit about your story, the watered down version. But how about you tell us all about your story?
So I migrated to New Zealand when I was 18 months old. Mm-hmm. We moved to Rotorua from a young age, I guess because I had a really thick English accent, and it was quite a Māori cultured city to move to.
Wow.
It was just really, really different. It was like a massive, massive culture shock. I remember growing up. Always felt like there was just a piece missing inside of me, just this missing hole. I felt like a really strange kid, like I didn't fit in.
Wow.
And really gravitated towards Māori straight away as well, because they seemed like the minority.
Yeah.
And
wow.
yeah, just to mischief as well. I just that's where I felt like I fitted in, just playing up and so forth. So
you grew up in Rotorua?
Yeah, grew up in Rotorua. Yeah, I went to a Catholic school. Yeah. And there was sisters. It was run by Sisters of Mercy.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So there was a convent on the ground, and they were pretty hard ladies. I've heard them being called Sisters of No Mercy. They yeah, it was the last year that corporal punishment was in too. And I remember I used to get singled out. We used to have to stand in a circle and read out of a book, and that's how I'd be getting words wrong because of my English accent. And so I'd stand there with a big 2-metre ruler and like whacking the back of your legs.
And how old are you, Paul?
40, I think.
Yeah. 40.
Yeah.
Wow.
40, yeah.
Young.
Coming up 40. Yeah. So this really knocked my self-esteem.
Yeah.
Really low self-esteem, and
Wow.
behavioural issues as well. Really loving family, like such a beautiful family. Never went short of anything, and I loved attention, any kind of attention. So this was really just me being the class clown. I was always in trouble. Progressed a few years, went to a Catholic secondary school, and I have 2 older sisters, and both of them are drug addicts as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Still
an addiction. My parents went out one night, and my sister just rolled a joint, and I smoked a joint with her, and I sort of felt like that missing piece that I'd always been looking for. I found that missing piece. Like there was this hole in my heart, and it sort of felt like it had been filled.
Yeah.
So I was like full on into skateboarding since I was a young kid. So started smoking dope, and then my schoolwork and everything fell off. All I wanted to do was just go skating all day and get high, and just like any addiction that just progressed from like smoking dope on the weekends to a few times a week, and then it was just every day. And then schoolwork, everything fell away, so forth, and just really started partying hard.
Wow.
Just drinking on the weekends. Even from that early age, I think was quite a big telltale as to how my life was going to be when I'm looking back at it. Like I'd be the last to stop drinking. Always drink to blackout, and mates would be getting up for breakfast in the morning, and that'd be me. I wouldn't worry about breakfast. I'd just crack open a beer straight away and get into it. Then I started experimenting with harder drugs, so taking a lot of acid, magic mushrooms, ecstasy. Meth wasn't around back then, so it was just like just speed. Just really progressed. Ended up leaving school at the age of 16, I think it was, 17, and did a course at Polytech. Worked for about 6 months in the catering, hospitality industry, and just couldn't be bothered with it. I'd rather just party all the time.
Yeah.
So my parents ended up moving over to the Mount, so I followed them over, and it was New Year's of 1999.
Wow.
And I was going to go get some pills for New Year's, and my mate didn't have any. He said he had some meth. So I was like, oh yeah, cool as. And so I ended up getting 1/4 gram and saved it for New Year's Eve and snorted it, and I just felt like I was home. It was like filled with confidence, everything I've been searching for my whole life. I found it in that bag, and
Wow.
I ended up being awake for about 3 days because I didn't have any tolerance to it, and then I had to sleep, and then I was just back there getting more. Same thing.
So it was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the end pretty much, yeah. Same thing. Weekend use, and that started just going to like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then before I knew it, I was just using every day.
Wow.
One of my best mates at the time, his brother-in-law, he was quite older than us. He was getting quite large amounts brought down from Auckland, and so I started selling for him to support a habit.
Yeah.
And I went up to his house one day to get more gear, and he was sitting at the dining room table, and I just walked in, flung the curtains back, and he had a syringe out and spoon and stuff, just his kit. And he was mixing up a shot, and I was quite taken back. I'd never seen anything like that. And he just said to me, well, this is how we do it. And he mixed me up a shot and gave me my first shot of meth. And I just couldn't believe the feeling, just the taste that I got at the back of my mouth. So every single hair in my body just standing up, and I fell in love with shooting meth.
Wow.
And,
How old were you at that point?
22, yeah.
Wow.
But in this time, my crime really stepped up. Doing a lot of burglaries, then started getting into commercial burglaries.
Wow.
Met a young lady and ended up getting her pregnant. She was quite young. She ended up with quite a large meth habit as well. And I got given an ultimatum, either go get clean or have nothing to do with this child. So I went to my first residential treatment centre up in Auckland. I was sitting in the waiting room when I got there, and there was a lady sitting next to me, and she was a hooker who had just moved back from King's Cross, and we just clicked off straight away. And I ended up leaving with her, and we came back down to the Mount, and then we moved up to Auckland, and that's when I first got a taste of the scene in Auckland. This is in about 2004, I think, something like that. And I just fell in love with the scene in Auckland City. It was just so fast, just the whole scene of working girls and meth and all of that. And she was an opiate addict, and she showed me how to turn morphine sulfate tablets into diamorphine. So I ended up with a morphine habit as well.
Wow.
I started to go downhill physically really quick, getting really sick. So one day I just decided to leave, came back down to the Mount, getting into the same stuff. Fast forward a few years, did my first lag in Waikeria prison. I got sentenced, I think it was unlawfully taking a motor vehicle and just a raft of theft charges. So that was a massive shock going to jail. But when I got arrested, I was pleased because it's such a draining lifestyle, just trying to support a habit every single day and everything that goes with it. So I was about 49 kgs when I went to jail.
Wow.
There was 125 people in our unit put together, and only I think 5 of us were white. So it was good character building, that was for sure. It was good. It was I had a lot of mates in there from back home, so it was pretty sweet. So while I was in there, a lady started coming in and liaising with me because they knew all of my offending was because of my meth addiction. And I got released early and sent to Higher Ground, treatment facility in Auckland. I think I got kicked out after about 70 days because I was too aggressive. I know that anger is just a secondary emotion, and it was all just coming from a place of hurt. I was just hurting so bad, and
Wow, secondary emotion. That's so true. Eh?
yeah.
They say anger, correct me if I'm wrong, is like at the peak.
Yeah.
So they say with like my kids, like say Huey, my son, gets frustrated. He's not frustrated, and we think, oh, it's so irrational that you're frustrated because you can't have an ice block. But he's not He's not getting angry because of the ice block. He's getting angry because his teacher said something, or he didn't get what he thought in his lunchbox, and it builds, and then he gets to that place.
That triggers him.
Yeah.
That triggers him. So it's like so many deeper emotions.
Yeah, I believe that there's like way more triggers leading up to that point of being angry.
Wow.
Definitely, yeah. So got kicked out of there and got put in a supported living house because it was part of my release conditions.
Yeah.
And were you using it this time?
Yeah.
No, I got clean, so I was like 70 days clean.
Oh yeah.
Plus my time in jail.
Yeah.
Then I met someone there. Always just gravitate to people that are up to no good, and I always think it just comes back to self-esteem as well. Just like I'm accepted by those people. So we just got up to mischief straight away. We just started doing burglaries all around Mount Eden area, and started just swapping everything we're getting for gear. And we ended up getting that house raided. Auckland CIB ended up coming around and raiding that place. They didn't find anything, and then they suspected we're up to something. So I ended up getting kicked out of there. My probie was sweet, so I thought I'd do a geographical and try and run from my problems. So I went down to Christchurch. Same thing. It was like everywhere I used to go, I just like gravitate towards whatever people were up to, and
Your problems followed you?
yeah, my problems just followed me. So I stayed down there for a bit, then thought I'd try and run from my problems again. So I came back up to the mount, and same thing, picked up where I left off. Habit was just growing more and more and more.
Wow.
And then,
so you got clean, and then you got, obviously you're back on it.
Yeah,
then,
I was clean like while I was in jail, and
Wow.
then while I was in this rehab, and then so just back on it.
Was it like a conscious thought of like, this is going to continue to destroy my life if I pick up again, or was the addiction just too loud?
I wasn't done.
Yeah.
I wasn't done. I knew in my heart that I wasn't done. It was just
Wow.
like, it was just like ticking boxes. It was like, yeah, sweet as. In my mind, it was like, cool, have a break, get back out and get back into it.
Wow.
Yeah, so same thing. Got back into the scene up here, and then it was around 2010. I was going through the roundabout at Hewlett's Road by KFC, and I ended up hadn't slept for about a week, and I T-boned a car and ended up severing a girl's leg tendons. So I got put in remand for a bit, chucked back into higher ground. This time I actually graduated, and I had this picture in my mind that like if I got a partner who didn't use drugs, if I moved to the country, had like a veggie garden, a nice little cottage with a...
I think we all even do that as well.
Like
Run away.
Then it'd be sweet. And
life would be good.
life would be good, yeah. So I got all those things. And
Did you have a veggie garden?
yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Where did you live in the country?
Petamahui.
Wow.
Just between Pukekohe and Waiuku. Straight as missus at the time, engaged to be married. Still just this massive missing piece inside of me.
Wow. Yeah, still there.
So I was still pretty skinny back then. So some mates started encouraging me to go to the gym, and I got a job in the bush. I was earning really good money. Started going to the gym, and my personality is just like all or nothing. So if I pick something up, I just go handy.
Yeah.
So I started seeing a nutritionist, like full on, like weighing out all my food, diet plans, all of that, strict training regime. And then I went and see my nutritionist one day, and she said, there's actually a way that we can get you bigger. And I said, oh yeah, how's that?
Wow.
And she said there's this stuff called Dianabol, which is an oral steroid. So
How long had you been clean for?
probably about 2 years at this stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started using Dianabol, and that was like my new obsession, my new addiction was just like working, buying and selling cars because it was the closest thing I could get to selling drugs. Just trying to make money and just gymming it harder and trying to get as big as I could. So after this first cycle, I went back to this nutritionist, and her husband was there, and he was like, "Oh, you got good gains from that. Are you ready for the big boy stuff?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Oh, we can start doing injectables if you want." So I ended up actually finding out the source of where they're getting this from. It was from the gym I was actually training at, so I became good mates with this guy. And he started doing me these massive stacks, and I got up to, I think it was 102 kgs.
Wow.
So I got pretty big, and it was the same
From
thing.
49 kgs, like,
Yeah,
like, you know.
Yeah, I used to like
Like,
fluctuate between like
Yeah.
55 kgs up to 60. So it just got massive, and that was like my new addiction, was just trying to get as big as I could. That really started to trigger me, and this relationship started falling apart. I was meant to marry her. I just it just wasn't working, and just the fact of that I'd been a junkie for years and sitting at home with like a box of 3mm syringes, it was just wrong. So I was doing like 12-step meetings in that time, and I just felt like a hypocrite going to them saying I was clean, but every second day I was using steroids and pinning in my quads and in my delts and stuff like that. So this relationship fell apart.
wow.
I ended up moving back to the city and got a job painting for this Australian guy who had also just moved back from King's Cross. And he got to know a bit about my past, and I had a few connections in Auckland. So he said, "How about we start a bit of a side business?" And he started fronting me money for quite large quantities of meth. And I probably sold meth successfully for about 4 weeks. And every time I'd just be sitting with a bag in front of me, and I'd just be like, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? I got a new partner with him this time, and she was clean as well. She didn't use drugs, and I was around at a mate's apartment, and I think it was a Sunday night, and I just said to my ex, I said, "I'll just have one line," and she was like, "Well, I don't think it's a good idea," and I was like, "That'll be sweet." So I had a line. About 4 hours later, I'd used a gram, and then next thing, it's Thursday morning. I was sitting in the shed with old acquaintances, and I was back on the needle.
Wow.
My mental health really started going.
Yeah.
So from all the years of intravenous drug use, I started experiencing bad psychosis.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I started drinking GBL as well,
Wow.
which was like a date rape drug. And my behaviour just started getting really out there. It started displaying like, we used to call it flapping out. And it was like I used to have Tourette's, like autistic kids do. Yeah. So she started getting over this. She liked the money, but she didn't like the person I was.
Yeah.
I think I had was like 5 GBL overdoses in the space of 1 year.
So how long was it? So you started injecting again?
Yeah.
And then were you consistently in a state of picking up?
Yeah.
Up until you got
straight
fully
away.
clean?
That was it. I was just
And how long do you think that lasted?
4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what happened in those last 12 months of that last year?
Yeah.
Psych wards.
Psych wards, did you say?
Yeah. I started getting placed under
Mental Health
Act and stuff like that.
Wow.
They'd just get sick of me in there because I'd go there and I'd be like, "There's nothing wrong with me."
Right.
They're trying to give me like olanzapine and antipsychotics and stuff like that. And by the end of it, because I'd be getting drugs dropped off in there, They'd just be like, we just want you out of here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd just say, you're just a drug addict, there's nothing we can do. And I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. So my lifestyle really started taking its toll on my partner that I was with. And she moved out and she moved in with her mums. Then I ended up moving in with her mum. And one night when I was in bed, I had a big dose of GBL and they couldn't wake me up, so they called the ambulance. Woke up with just like ECG monitors and stuff like that, and came to, after about 10 minutes, I realised that I'd been drinking GBL. And this is just the power of addiction. Like, as soon as I came to, I was like, I've got to get home, I've got to get on it again. So me just thinking it's normal, just getting in a taxi at 4 a.m. and like one of those hospital nightgowns, knocking on the door, just like, hey, I'm home, babe, it's all good. And they're like, we can't do this anymore, you know, like, we can't stand by and watching you kill yourself. So they told me to leave, so I was like, cool, where's? So I came back down to the mount, and my mental health really, really took a bad turn. I was staying at my parents' house and they were in Australia on holiday. And I was thinking some really, really messed up stuff, and I couldn't handle it anymore, and I got into a real state of depression. Like, I wanted to stop so badly, but like my body was so physically dependent. It was like, if I didn't use, I couldn't function, I couldn't get out of bed or anything like that. And I had a shot of meth one morning, and I just flipped something, just went off in my head, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. Really, really casual, like it was like I was nesting, so like I cleaned the house, made my bed, all of that, and then just Googled what kind of pills to take to overdose.
Wow.
So I ended up eating about, I think it was like 200 more tryptoline and about 50 codeines. Just even real casual. I don't know, I jumped in the bathtub with no water, with like a bottle of juice, and I was just popping out cards of pills and just eating handfuls of pills. And then I could just feel myself fading, and I just had this such a peace about me. I was like, great, you know, it's over, no more pain, I'm done. I left one window in the house open, and my sister, who lived on the same street, she reckoned she had a strange feeling, but I know who that feeling would have been, or who that would have been speaking to her.
Yeah.
She came down, and she was banging on the doors, no one would answer. So she chucked her son through the window, came and unlocked the door, and she came into the bathroom, and I was lying in the bathtub, just covered in vomit. My eyes rolled back in my head. So the paramedics said if she hadn't found me within the next 3 minutes, I would have been dead.
Wow.
So ended up in a coma, I think it was 4 or 5 days. And they thought there was going to be quite a strong chance that I'd have brain damage if I made it out. Some of my mates who used to have addictions as well found Christ within this time.
Yeah, wow.
And they all rushed down from Auckland, and they sat at my bedside for a couple of days just praying for me.
Wow.
Yeah. One of my good mates, he found Christ like 6 years before me. He was a meth addict as well. When I was in this coma, God gave him a prophetic word. And he told me this when I came out of the coma. Either he told my mum or he told me, but he definitely told me when I came out of the coma. It's a prophetic word that God gave him. He said to me, God spoke to me when you were in this coma, and he said that you're going to be, you're going to give your heart to Jesus.
It's so simple.
Yeah, so special.
That I'd be leading a ministry for people with addiction issues.
Wow.
And that I was going to be a pastor.
Wow.
And I
Did you believe him?
I was just like,
You're like, bro.
I was just like, bro, what are you on about? Yeah, I was like,
Bro,
what are
crazy.
you on about? And this mate never ever gave up on me.
Wow.
Never gave up on me. There was 2 people in my life. Like, when I came out of this coma, I got put in the psych ward, and I made a promise with myself. I was like, I'm never ever using meth again. And within 2 weeks of being out of this coma, I was back on the meth.
Oh.
That.
My parents really just accepted my lifestyle. I think it was out of a place of fear I was living with them. They just used to just let whatever slide, but it really took their toll on them.
Yeah.
So I decided to go back to Auckland. I was going to do a medical detox.
Wow.
That's the only way I could get off. Did a detox. Within a day I was using again.
Wow.
So, yeah. When in that coma, it was like when I came out, it was like something had shifted in me.
Yeah.
And I felt like different, and like even though I was using meth, my mum was like, something seems different about you. I was like, yeah, I feel different. And so I moved back to central Auckland, and looking back now, it was like I can see just how much God was preparing me and how much grace He was just pouring upon me. And on a few occasions I bumped into mates that I knew from the addiction scene, and that found Christ as well. And I remember one day I'd just gone down to the dairy, and I was walking home, and I seen this guy Jeremy, and him and his mate, and I was in a good way, and he said, can I lay hands on you and pray for you? And I was like, yeah, cool as. Like, I was just really, really open.
Yeah.
And he laid hands on me, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then probably half a year later, I had just been on a big meth bender, had a big sleep, and I was on K Road, just gone to the needle exchange, about to use, so I can't say that it was psychosis or anything like that. And I had an encounter with Jesus.
What happened?
So I was heading to the public toilet to use, and I heard Jesus' voice.
What did he say?
Just warning me to get out of Auckland while you're still alive. And it was the first time I experienced or got filled with the fear of God.
Wow.
And I was just like, there was something in me, I was like, it was such an authoritative voice.
Wow.
And I was like, I've got to listen to this voice.
Yeah.
I've got to get out of here. I just got to go.
Yeah.
And I literally, like, I had like a clean syringe in my pocket, a bag of meth, and enough money to get a bus ticket. And I was literally sprinting through Auckland CBD, like running to the bus station.
Wow.
I just got to go. So went to the bus station, bought a ticket, and came back down to the mount. Like, yeah, it's time to go home. I was sitting in my mate's toilet in Arataki about to shoot some meth, and I heard this small voice whispering to me saying, this is the last time you'll be doing this. And like this massive sense of peace. And I just had this acceptance. I was like, it's done.
Yeah.
It's finished. That's it. I'm completely done. So I went around to my parents' house. I hadn't seen them for a while, and I turned up on their doorstep, and they just didn't know what to do. They just said I just looked like so disheveled, just a mess. So ended up getting put back in the psych ward to do a medical detox, and they used to have like this Waiata group every day, and I don't know, there was just like this hunger inside of me. This was like my thing. I used to go, and they'd be like singing like Māori worship songs and karakia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this is so cool. So I was going there every morning, and then it was like my third day I'd been in there, and I was in my room, and I had this urge inside of me to get down on my knees and pray.
Wow.
And I didn't pray or anything like that. I'd been really put off by experiences with religious people growing up, and I got down on my knees, and I just lifted my hands in the air and I just said, I know you're out there, whoever you are. Can you just please just like give me the strength to just stay clean? I'm done. I don't want to be living this lifestyle anymore. I walked outside of the psych unit, and standing there was one of my good friends, Tans, who I hadn't seen for probably over 10 years. And she was standing there in tears, and she said, I'm 3 years clean. Let me help you to get, I'll help you to get clean. Her mum was actually staying in the psych ward at the time. So she called up her partner, who was also a recovering meth addict. He came, picked me up and started taking me to 12-step meetings. And then I was just praying every day. I was like, I had this picture of like God was like this. I remember going to church as a kid, and up on like the back of the church there was like a stained glass window, and there was like this man with this like the staff and a white robe and a big beard, and I was like, and my mind was like, yeah, that's who God is. So I just pictured myself praying to this guy, and then I was at a public forum one day, and this lady from church, Curate Church, came up to me, and she said, I think she said to me, God told me to come and speak to you, or something like that. I think you should come along to Curate Church and come to this group that we have. It was for people with addiction issues. It was they're trying to start up Celebrate Recovery there. So me and a couple of mates went along, and I met this guy there. I thought he was pretty cool. He's one of my best mates now. His name is Will Perry. He was on worship, and he was like, bro, you should come check out church. And I was like, yeah, for sure.
Had you been to church at this point?
No, I hadn't been to church. So I walked into church, and I got there kind of late, and everyone was worshipping, and it's like, what are these weirdos doing? It was like dark. They had their hands in the air, and I was like, man, this is weird. And,
dark.
And
It's a bit weird, eh?
I just stood there, and I just closed my eyes, and I was just in tears. I was just in tears, and I was like, I could literally feel myself just being forgiven.
Wow, that's amazing.
Everything that I'd done, just like all the shame leaving me.
Wow.
All this guilt just being lifted off me, and just like, almost just like this healing just taking place inside of me.
Wow,
that's amazing.
It came to the end. They did an altar call, and my hand was just up. And Will came up to me, and he was like, bro, here's a Bible. He told me to just start reading in John.
Amazing.
And I went back the next weekend, and then he just started journeying with me. He started taking me out for coffees and stuff like that.
Wow, amazing.
Just really discipling me, and a couple of other people took me under their wing as well.
Yeah.
Very, very special couple, Sherry and Rick, and one of the pastors at the time, an old guy, Peter Taylor, and they just started loving on me, inviting me to their house, which was such a foreign thing, because everyone was always like, get away, get away from me, and they were just like, just come closer, and just trusting me and stuff like that. And about 3 weeks later, after I made that decision, it was baptisms. And Will was like, bro, do you want to get baptised? And I was like, yeah, I'm in. So got baptised. Then this other lady from church, she's called Tracy, she came up to me, and she gave me pretty much exactly the same prophetic word that my mate Jay gave me.
And how long had it been between that prophetic word and this?
Probably about 2 years. Wow,
wow, amazing.
Yeah. Started going to church every weekend, just loving it. All these cool connections being made, people just loving on me, and I just wasn't used to it. Then God just started bringing all these people into my life who were suffering from a meth addiction and so forth.
Wow.
I started bringing them to church, and I was like, pretty much for a whole year, I just laid this solid foundation where I was single, and I just built this relationship with God.
Yeah.
I just sit in my room
Amazing.
most of the day, just reading the Word and just speaking to Him. And He just like,
Wow.
He really revealed to me who He is as a father,
Mm.
Yeah.
and my true identity as His son. And it's like, yeah, just blew me away.
Wow,
Wow,
that's so
that is so
amazing. I
amazing.
love, like, as you're talking, I love, it's such a reminder, and lots of people who follow don't have a relationship with Jesus, but how kind He is. And actually, it's so not searching for perfection at all. And you were in the midst of just like this deep, like darkest time, and He picked you out and was like, you need to leave here,
Yeah.
and you need, like, He was watching you,
Yeah.
He cared for you, and He still had purpose for you
Yeah.
in what lots of humans would look at and think, he's just going to kill himself, basically,
100%.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
With all that's going on with now you have such an awesome relationship with God, and you're helping other people who've been through
Yeah, what
the
does your
journey.
life look like now?
Yeah.
Now I'm married.
Wee, so good.
Yeah.
How
So
many
I'm
years have you been married?
Coming up a year.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Whoa,
So-
so good.
Then a lockdown wedding.
Yeah.
Did you?
Lockdown wedding on the
Oh.
back lawn. Yeah.
I love that. So married? Yeah.
Married, being blessed with two beautiful children, two beautiful
wow.
boys, whose dads don't want to be around. So
Wow. So here you are.
yeah,
I
Stepped up
love
to the
that.
plate.
stepped up to the plate. Now I'm a pastor at Curate Church,
Wow.
and I lead a ministry called Curate Recovery.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how do you make sure you don't slip into old habits?
That's a good question.
I believe there's like, I read the scripture the other morning, I can't remember what it was, and it said you've been washed, you've been sanctified, you've been justified.
Wow.
This is through the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, by the Spirit of our God. And like, when we make a decision, we get justified. You know, it's all good. Like, Jesus died on the cross so He could wear the penalty of our sin, our guilt, our condemnation, all that shame. And then there's that journey of sanctification. But then I also think there's a journey of, call it formation. And I think there's three things that do form us. And it is information, God, and community.
Yeah.
And I think the key
Wow.
is, before stepping back into that dark place or that old world, is being properly formed.
Yeah.
So you can walk back in there and you're not being influenced by it.
Yeah.
You can just go in there, it's not influencing you because you've been formed, and then you can just walk back out. Or you can be with those people in that dark situation, and then you're not getting influenced by what they're doing, and you can just walk back out again.
That is so amazing. There are so many questions to ask, but one
There are.
that like
And
that's-
lots that you've answered.
Yeah,
so
and like so
well.
many, but one that I think that people would want to know is if there's someone listening and watching this and they have a family member or a friend
Yeah.
who's just deep in addiction, drugs or anything, but specifically drugs and meth, what would your advice be to them? Like, where do they start?
Where do they start? Love should be confronting and challenging.
Wow.
I see so many people's parents, especially parents who have faith, they're like, I just want my child back, I just want them to find God, you know, just to come back to faith. And it's almost like, if you want them to come back and have this relationship with God, you have to stop being God in their lives.
Wow. Meaning like trying to save.
Trying to control, trying to save,
Yeah.
trying to bailing them out of debt all the time,
Yeah.
all
Right,
that
okay.
stuff.
Okay.
It's like,
yeah.
just leave them to it.
Yeah.
Love should be confronting and challenging.
Wow.
And it's really, if you're enabling someone, you're not loving on them, eh?
Yeah.
And it gets to a point with
Wow.
people where you just have to be like, okay, I'm going to love you from a distance.
Wow.
But you can't do this to us anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let
yeah.
them sit in that place of pain, because I know like pain is the biggest motivator to change.
Wow. Yeah.
If there's no pain there, then people are not going to want to change.
Wow.
So it's like, let them sit in that place of pain, let them feel
Wow.
that pain, and that'll motivate them to do it, to draw a line in
Yeah.
the sand,
Yeah.
to get into that place of desperation. That's what I think it's like. It's almost like being blessed with a gift of desperation.
Yeah.
and really just being brought to your knees. Yeah, so
because it's hard because people think they can save people and they spend their whole life trying to save them and bow them out and take them out of it, and then they get just exhausted and disappointed and bitter towards them, and so it's like you think it's good to stay close and love and support, but not be trying to save them out the whole time, but just letting them know that you're there. Or I guess when you've got an addiction and you're on something like meth and stuff, you're not emotionally aware of like the reality of someone staying by you. In a sense, you're just doing your thing, right?
Yeah.
Just boundaries, and just stick to those boundaries.
Boundaries,
like just enforce those boundaries and just have no room for budging with them.
So did you said you didn't see your parents for a while. How long was that?
Probably 2 years.
Wow.
So regarding your parents, like as Abby said, you mentioned that you didn't have a relationship with them for a while. What does that look like now?
Like the best relationship ever.
Really?
Yeah, it's like Jesus just healed that relationship so much. A lot of hurt I had around my relationship with my dad. It was like he was the most loving father, but it was something inside of me that was just always pushing them away.
Wow.
That's just not the case anymore. It's like they're like my best friends.
That's so
cool.
Best friends.
How awesome.
That's amazing.
My mum's come to faith as well.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, so I baptised her, I think it was last
Oh,
October.
that's so cool.
I love that. That's so
special.
amazing. And you talked about helping other people that are going through addiction. I guess that's your motivation, but is there something else that motivates you every day when you wake up to be like, I'm doing something good, I'm making a difference? What motivates you to stay clean?
Jesus gives me the motivation.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't do this without him.
Wow.
And I tell him that most mornings. I'm just like, Jesus, without you I'm nothing.
Wow.
I can't do life without you. I've proved it to you time and time again. I'm just so weak. I need you. And it always makes me think of that scripture. What is it? Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.
Wow.
Therefore I shall boast all the more gladly of my weakness, that the power of Jesus Christ may rest upon me. And I think, just coming before him in my weakness every day, like, I don't have a clue how to do life. I don't know how to walk out this calling that he's placed in my life. I don't know how to be a husband. I don't know how to be a dad to these children. I don't know how to be a son. And just getting before him and just getting absolutely honest just every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think there's like any point in just going in before him and being like, I've got it all together, it's all good. I only need you in this area of my life, that area of my life. It's like, Jesus, I need you, I can't do this. And just really inviting him into absolutely everything. And I think those are the prayers that he just loves listening to, and that just really prick up his ears. When we just go before him and we're just like, sometimes it gets ugly.
Yeah.
We just get so rigorously honest with him and just be like, Jesus, I need you. And those are the prayers that I believe he loves hearing. You know, and I think there's two types of praying. There's those like real vulnerable prayers where we're just before him by ourselves. And then there's those fancy prayers as well. But I just think he does absolutely...
He lives past the words, eh? Is that why you're using that language?
Those fancy prayers we use around other people and stuff like that. But I just think he just loves it when we just go before him and just truly just boast in his in our weakness.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Paul, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
You're so awesome. It is
awesome.
such a privilege to have you here. Like... so beyond, and I know that this is just a snippet really of your journey and the hardship and the scary moments and the fast moments that you've actually experienced, and the thoughts that you've thought and the things that you've seen. People will never understand what actually a miracle is, that you're sitting here on this couch speaking good news and hope for a better tomorrow, and it is an honour to be in this room with you.
Yeah.
And here at Human As, we love to thank people for helping us with our journey, and I'm sure there's
A lot of people.
a lot of people. But if you could just choose one to honour in this moment, we're going to look into this beautiful camera, and it is capturing you as well. So hide now. If you could just, honour them.
I'd honour my mum for never giving up on me, and I know she was praying for me, even though she was still a Catholic. she was praying for me. So yeah, thanks, Mum, for never stopping praying for me. And God heard all those prayers in the secret place. So thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
That is action done.
Sweet.
You are one heck of a man.